Whether we can drink the water that's at the front of the lecture. I think I'm going to steal it. To the faculty here, parents, and to my fellow class, it's really an honor to be in this room with you today. It's humbling to scan this crowd and see so many people who have shaped our lives over the last 12 months. And more than anything else, I'd like to simply say thank you. Thank you to faculty for teaching us, for our families for making sacrifices that made it possible for us to be here, and to my fellow classmates, whose friendships and ideas made this year in Oxford one of the best years of my life. I'd like to say a special thanks to Dean Tufano and Stephen Chambers for shaping this MBA and leading it to what it is today. A hub of business thinking that draws on the long history of Oxford's commitment to intellectual exploration. I'd also like to say thanks to Alex Wright. Don't know where you are, Alex. But Alex has been our guide through some of the processes of Oxford that have also been passed down for 800 years or so, that are sometimes a little confusing. We would have been lost without you as a guide, and we thank you for that. So that leaves my fellow classmates. And I thought to celebrate this last day together, I might share with you one last poem. Now, the last time I shared a poem, it was from the throes of passionate first-term confidence. We all had taken a break from our studies to have a talent show, and Mr. Eakins and I shared the sonnets of Sir Mix-a-Lot's open affinity for grand posteriors and LMFAO's bold proclamations of self-affirmed attraction. But poetry in its purest form is a mirror of our emotions. And that's not where I am right now. Today, I'd like to pick a poem that's substantially different. A couple ways it's different. One, it's actually a poem. And second, it's much more serious. It's so serious that it's boring, and it's so boring that I'm only going to read one line. Amy Simone Pillar writes, "It is a hopeless romance between a room and the view." I told you, it was serious. In life, there's always this tension between the comforts of where we are and the uncertainty of where we're looking to go. For us, we've been in this incredible room of Oxford. Not this room, this is a tent, but it's quite an incredible place. The walls are amazing. And our time in this room have opened up windows to opportunities, like Dean Tufano said, that we could never have imagined before. And that vista made this year more valuable. But now we're on the precipice of this edge between the room and this landscape ahead of us. And it's really scary. It's full of excitement, and it's also terrifying at the same time. So what I'd like to do is talk a little bit about what's made this room so cool. Again, Oxford, not the tent. What's made this time and what's made this institution so incredible. And then also talk about what it's given us as we step out into this view that's ahead of us. Oxford, at its core, is a magnet. It's this massive global magnet for incredible people and incredible ideas. I had the opportunity to procrastinate recently on Trinity term exams, and there was a YouTube video that I came across, somewhere between world's largest fish and motorcycle accidents, whatever YouTube feeds up to you. But it was a bunch of technicians and medical students who had a decommissioned fMRI machine, which is essentially a giant electromagnet. And they had it in a room and put a bunch of metal objects in there, and in what is a terrible idea but a brilliant YouTube video, they flipped the thing on to see what would happen. Chairs, staplers, everything metal in the room flew across and smashed into the middle. It was this massive moment of power that pulled everything around. And I think that's kind of like what happened here. Oxford flipped on this switch, and from 53 countries around the globe, we came flying to collide right here for a year. And it's not like we weren't doing anything before. Like, Amanda, you were at NASA planning satellites around the moon. Brad was doing a PhD in neuroscience, increasing neuroplasticity with his trials. Paul, you made a stint that's probably going to save my life someday by designing, I don't even know how it works, but it'll probably save me. Joe was creating investment opportunities and entrepreneurship opportunities for youth in India. Carlos, you developed software that could change the ability to automate microclimate agriculture in South America. I mean, it goes on and on and on. Macon knows how to ship energy all around the world. Right? When you designed everything we touch. Olivia, you know how to improve the water management systems of a giant city. And Satya, you know how to build communications and build broadcasting networks. We were all professionals committed to excellence in our fields. Computer scientists, doctors, lawyers, engineers, Rhodes Scholars, mathematicians who happen to be world-class athletes on the side. I mean, one more. John Woods, I don't know if you guys know this, he's a geophysicist whose job before he came here was to find unexploded World War II bombs under the ocean to make sure they didn't blow up on civilian sites. You never know that. That is so cool. He quit that job to come here. That is awesome. We all made a choice, and it's not a really rational choice. We quit our jobs, we went into debt, we stepped on a plane and flew to a medieval town in the middle of rural England to sleep in dorm room beds and talk to each other in windowless rooms for 9 months. That's so weird. They found a way to pull us in, and this program particularly attracts individuals with deep intellectual curiosity and a desire to change and improve the world. And so once we all collided, we shared our ideas and our expertise with each other, and we invented new things. John and Roy, I doubt you knew you were going to come here and meet material scientists and develop a nanosystems company, but you did. And that's been happening for hundreds of years. There's, in the 1650s, there was a guy named Robert Hooke and Robert Boyle. And they met each other, and they were just nerds. They liked to build things. They happened to build the first ever microscope. They built air pressure chambers that discovered Boyle's law. And it happened because they came from different parts of the world and connected and shared their expertise and ideas together. If you go on High Street, there's a plaque that shows where those two guys were the first people to ever see a living cell. They were the first people to see something that small. If you want to find it, it's next to the Good Kebab truck on High Street. The second one, eat the kebab, you'll know whether you're in the right spot. But this all comes to an end today. And that's why I'm in a different place. That's why, with all this excitement and these ideas, there's also a great deal of fear and uncertainty. So starting tomorrow, Oxford's going to flip off this switch, and we're going to scatter all around the globe. And so, as is the case with any graduate program, we're going to leave these doors inspired and full of hope, and sometimes unemployed. We don't know what comes next. And the majority of you that do have jobs, you're wondering whether you've picked the right one, whether it was the right choice, the right city, the right opportunity. There's a massive amount of uncertainty in this view that lies ahead of us. And it's invigorating and terrifying at the same time, but I don't think it ever actually changes. We're all seated here gazing into this landscape of uncertainty, but it's the same type of uncertainty that we've heard about from business leaders that have come in. People who, by our standards, have made, they are a huge success. People have come here that have amassed massive personal wealth, had huge businesses they've created, and they've talked to us about how they're afraid. They're not sure whether they're still going to achieve the dreams that they have for themselves. They're not sure whether they're going to be able to continue employing all the people that work for them. I mean, some of us did SCPs. People are so unsure they asked us to help them out. Some of you did a great job. I think this jagged uncertainty of nature is the nature of life, and I think it's the nature of business. And just as the jagged edges of a mountain increase the allure of that vista, The tensions that we'll see and the uncertainty that we face will create the value and create the successes and failures that we experience. Against this uncertainty, we can test ourselves, we can test businesses, but we can never change it and we can never control it. So if there's one thing that from a student perspective I've learned, it's that the security does not come from a job and it does not come from money. It comes from a community of people you can depend on and a sense of personal mastery in what you do. We've built our community here. Now we get to go return to our areas of mastery and build businesses that can change the world. It is a hopeless romance between a room and the view. But as we step out into this landscape of uncertainty, we're doing it together. Tomorrow, when we walk out into the view, there's no group of individuals that I could be more grateful to have by my side. Thank you so much for this year. Congratulations, and good luck.